Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. I would like to thank everyone on the panel that decided to show up for Lauderhill. You can see that we're missing several people. I will say that Nadia did have an event of some sort, so this is the first event she has missed, one of the forums, but the others that you see that are not seated have not shown up for any of the forums, so I just wanted you to know that. Oh, I'm sorry. Ray Martin was here for a few of them, but the others have decided not to come. Correct, Monica? Yeah. Yes. Okay. So if we could just a couple of housekeeping. If we can just silence our phones, that would be great. And I want to say a very big thank you to the Youth Council for coming out tonight and helping us. Yes. Stand up. Okay, so I think we're good to go now and ready to start. Alrighty, so I'm going to hand it over to Monica. And again, a big thank you to the League of Women Voters for sponsoring this tonight. And let's have a good forum tonight. Thank you, Monica.
Thank you. And in the back of the room, we have Andrea Sleeper, who is our voter registration chair in voter education.
I forgot one thing. We're going to be live streaming with Lauderhill TV, Millissa, Jayne. So tell your friends that aren't here that they can watch on Millissa Jayne's Lauderhill TV YouTube. Thank you.
Okay, so definitely be sure and tell your friends, family, colleagues that they will be able to go to Lisa James' website. Is it on your YouTube channel? Lauderhill TV on YouTube. Okay. So again, good evening. My name is Monica Elliott, and I'm the Voter Services Chair of the League of Women Voters here in Broward County. First of all, the League is nonpartisan, meaning that we never endorse or oppose a political party or any candidates. We do encourage informed and active participation of citizens in their government, and that is exactly what you do when you vote. We want to thank the Chateau Mar for allowing us to hold the forum here and being flexible for changing the dates, because this was originally scheduled for last week. And we had a slight hurricane get in the way, which, by the way, is a good reason to be sending in your vote by mail ballot, and early voting starts next Monday, because you just don't know what's going to happen. And also, Varian Harris, thank you for the sound system. Trust me, this is something that the League would never be able to do. And then also, Natalia Levy is going to be our timekeeper. So we want to be sure to acknowledge him. And then for those of you who are not familiar, another website that is probably important for you is vote411.org. So it's vote and then the numerals 411. It's a website run by the League of Women Voters Education Fund. We have asked questions of the candidates, so you can make additional questions than what you've heard. So you can make a comparison, and then we also have detailed information about the 6 Florida constitutional amendments on the ballot. And then what most people don't realize is there's 2 Broward County charter questions also. And so we explain those. And we do have handouts in the back if you just want to read those. So the purpose of a forum is to allow voters to learn about the candidates by listening to the candidate responses to the questions that I'm going to ask. It is not a debate. So tonight's forum is going to be a little bit different from the ones we had in July, because we're not going to be taking questions from the audience. We've essentially got 2 hours to do what we did in 3 nights back in July, okay? So for efficiency purposes, I've already determined what the questions are going to be, and that's why we have everybody up here in front. They're going to be asked the same question and asked to respond to the same question. And as Barbara indicated before, we do need your help also in terms of being sure to turn off your phone, no clapping after a candidate speaks. We'll save all the clapping until the very end. And then again, try to keep your conversations, either no conversations, or at least keep them low so it doesn't interfere with our listening to the candidates. So for tonight's forum, the way we're going to be doing it is that the candidates will have 1.5 minutes for their introductory remarks. Then we're going to have at least 7 questions, and they will have 1.5 minutes each to respond to those questions. And then we will have a 1-minute final remark. So I've set it up so that each candidate will have the opportunity to speak first and also to speak last, and then it's mixed up all in between. And candidates, when there's 10 seconds left, Natalia is going to hold up the yellow star. And when it's time to stop, we have the heart. So kind of keep your eye on him as we go through the questions. So we will now begin with the opening statements. I will state the elected office and then all the candidates for that office, and then we'll start the responses in alphabetical order. So for mayor, there are 2 candidates, Denise Grant and Lawrence Jabbar Martin. For Jabal, I'm sorry. Jabo. It's Jab. Oh, okay. I was so worried about getting Kelvin's name wrong. For seat 1, there are 4 candidates, Nadia Saad, Kelvin Haynes, John Hodgson, and Tracy Roach. For seat 2, there are 2 candidates, Millissa Dunn and Margaret Paul. For seat 3, there are 3 candidates, Kelly Davis, Latoya London, and Ray Martin. For seat 4, there are 4 candidates, Richard Campbell, Eula Marie Hilton, Magali Pierre, and Mae Smith. So for our opening statements, we are going to start with the mayor, and that would be candidate Martin.
Check. Are we on? Check, check, check. There we go. All right, my name is Lawrence Jabo Martin. I am the vice mayor currently of the city of Lauderhill. My first term, quick history on myself, lifelong resident of Broward County. Family's from the Bahamas. I celebrated my 61st birthday on yesterday, along with my mother, who celebrated her 83rd birthday on yesterday. Yes, I was her birthday gift 61 years ago. Smaller package at the time. Listen, I'm going to make this very brief and make it very poignant. I've been working very hard for the city of Lauderhill for the past 3 years. And what I ask you to do right now, because we have a brief period of time to talk, is if you'll take a minute and just look at my endorsement card, which is out on the table. I'm currently endorsed by Mayor Ken Thurston. I also have the endorsement of Mayor Kaplan, the previous mayor who served for 21 years. I'm endorsed by former Commissioner Bates in her passing, Commissioner Berger, Commissioner Benson, current Commissioner Millissa Dunn. I'm endorsed by U.S. Representative Sheila Sheffless McCormick, County Representative Robert McKenzie. Literally every HOA president in the city of Lauderhill has endorsed me. I'm endorsed by the FOP, the PBA, the fire union. All the unions that represent all the employees of our city have endorsed me, and additional to the Realtors Association. So again, if you have all those individuals that are saying you're the man for the job, that means I must be the man for the job. Thank you.
Have the Commissioner seat 1, and we'll start with Kelvin Hayes.
Is there a mic down there? Is there a mic down there? Okay, that one's connected. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, that's great. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kelvin Haynes, and I'd like to tell you that I'm a single father of an amazing daughter who is now attending medical school to become a neurosurgeon. And I am also a lifelong resident of Broward County. I was appointed by Mayor Thurston to serve on the city's Affordable Housing Committee. I was also appointed and approved by the commission to sit also on the city's affordable housing, where I am now the chairman of said board. I also was appointed by our district commissioner, Hazel Rogers, and approved by the county commission to serve on the Marine Advisory Board. So ladies and gentlemen, I want to let you know that based upon all this information and knowledge that I have, there's a lot more to me that you need to know. But the one thing you really should know is that I'm bringing forth the ideas to get our city back on track. So once again, take your time, listen to what we have to say, and look forward to speaking with you soon.
Thank you. Candidate Tracy Roach.
Okay. I don't know. Okay. Good evening. I am Tracy Roach. I am a lifelong resident of Lauderhill. I am married to my wonderful husband, Herb Roach, who is a first responder, and I have two beautiful children who attend LSU. My daughter is a mechanical engineer major, and my son is a business finance major. I graduated from Dillard High School, and I received my bachelor's degree in mass communication from Florida State University. I currently serve in local government. I have 15 years of local government, currently serving as Chief of Staff of Broward County Commissioner Robert McKenzie. Throughout my career, I have learned all the intricacies of development, effective policy making, local governments, and community engagement. I am ready to serve the city of Lauderhill. I'm not new to this. I am true to this. I will be ready to serve on day one because I know all about local government. I've been there since 2009 with the city of Fort Lauderdale, and currently 2 years ago, 22, with Broward County Commissioner Robert McKenzie. So residents, I am ready to serve. Don't think I'm not ready. We can be on these boards all we want, but I am the board. I am ready to serve. I know what to do when it comes to our city. Thank you.
Wait. Remember, I have the evil eye. No clapping. We wait until the very end. Okay. For Commission Seat 2, the candidate here tonight is Millissa Dunn. It's 1.5 minutes.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Commissioner Millissa P. Dunn. I'm currently serving as your commissioner in seat number 2. I made some promises in 2020. I promised to lower taxes, and I did it twice, voted for it 2 times. I made promises to create a better quality of life in the city of Lauderhill, and I did that through programs like Lauderhill Health and Prosperity Partnership, Lauderhill Shines, Lauderhill Youth Excel. Promises made, promises kept. I would love the opportunity to continue to serve you. We got a lot done in my first term, but there's more work to be done. So vote for me to keep me in office in seat number 2. And also, when I'm in office, I hope that you will partner with me to move the city forward, because the truth is, we can't do it by ourselves. We need you, the residents and business owners and youth in the city of Lauderhill, to partner with us to do it. So I have a master's degree in business. I have a green belt in Lean Six Sigma. I also am an entrepreneur. I'm the CEO of MD Marketing Network. So when it comes to marketing, branding, messaging, strategic planning, those are the things that I do every day for my clients, and I want to continue to do it for you in the city of Lauderhill. Thank you so much for your vote.
Okay, thank you. And now we move on to Commission Seat 3, and we start with candidate Kelly Davis.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Big Man Kelly Davis. A lot of you know me as a former radio personality here in South Florida with Hot 105 and 99 Jams. As a servant of this community, I have worked with some of the largest brands locally and nationally, brands such as McDonald's, Beats by Dre, Hot 105, 99 Jams. But here's the thing, as I work with those brands, there was an obligation that was told to me by James T, that when you get into this space, you're obligated to serve this community. And that's what I've done, along with working with my parents who started the first black-owned retail computer store in the state of Florida over 35 years ago, right here in the city of Lauderhill. I've also served on the board of the Boys and Girls Club of Broward County. I am actually Lauderhill. I'm a product of Lauderhill. If you want to see what it looks like to be successful in Lauderhill, look at myself and look at my family, and you'll see that. Also, my twins are here with me tonight. That's another product of Lauderhill. My twin boys are here with me tonight, along with Felice, my ex-wife, the mother of my children, Shayla Walden, U.S. Supreme Court sworn attorney, my good friend Harold Rawls, who was my boss when I worked in the car business. By the way, working with him in the car business, working with the #2 Corvette and Chevrolet dealership in the country. So I have business experience. I have the ability to take the city to the next level. Again, working with some of the top brands in the country and in the world, I'm ready to serve this community and take it to the next level. Thank you.
Thank you. And now candidate LaToya London.
Good evening, everyone. My name is LaToya London. I am an educator, a full-time realtor, and I am your soon-to-be commissioner, seat 3. I was born and raised in Lauderhill, Florida. I'm 45 years old, and I grew up in the St. George community. I graduated from Dillard High School and also Florida Memorial University. I have my bachelor's degree in elementary education, and I have my primary daycare in early childhood learning from birth to 3 years old. So I have been an educator for over 16 years. I am the proud daughter of Willie London and Loretta London, who were business owners in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, many, many years, and the niece of Josephus Eglishan. So I come from a legacy. I have been serving in my community for over 20 years now. Lately, I have already started working in the city of Lauderhill. I have already got some things changed with ADA with the city of Lauderhill. Personally, I have done more in the city than the current incumbent has done in 4 years. I have served over 2,000 meals to the homeless. I have created financial literacy programs for for first-time home buyers. I help repair credit, and I'm an educator. So I've been out in the community. I have been serving in our community, and I've been present in our community. And I think I have proven that I'm ready for the job.
Okay, thank you. And now we move on to Commission Seat 4, and we start with Eula Murray Hilton.
Good evening. Good evening, everybody. My name is Eula Murray Hilton. I'm running for Lauderhill Seat 4. I have lived in Lauderhill for over 27 years, but I haven't just lived in Lauderhill. I've showed up in my community. As a matter of fact, before I even moved to Lauderhill, I became a member of the Lauderhill Chamber of Commerce. So I was already interested in Lauderhill business before I even got here. So I think that that's the most important thing, is showing up in your community. I continued after that to be very active in my HOA, and then I went on to have the privilege of being on the Charter Review Board, which brought certain things, term limits, as well as created the Community Budget and Advisory Board, which was the first time there was a board dedicated to representing the community and having a link with the government when they needed to get things done for the community. I have also served as a president of the Lauderhill Chamber of Commerce, and at that time was getting businesses, especially mom and pop businesses, to get more active and to adopt new ways of marketing themselves. And then I went on to be the chairperson of the Community Budget and Advisory Board, and finally the HOA president of the Northwest Lauderhill. And I show up for my community.
Thank you. Varian is at work. Okay, next we have candidate May Smith.
Good evening, everyone. I'm May Smith, candidate for Lauderhill seat number 4, and I must iterate, the best candidate for seat number 4. You all, most of everyone in this room already know me, but for those who don't, I've lived in my home now over in Parkway, St. George community for 40 years. I've currently working at the property appraiser office. I have 6 children, 3 grandchildren, and my list of work, as you all already know, goes on and on. I've taught our seniors how to use computers. I've created a youth council, and I've taken our youth to Washington, D.C. to see how laws are made. I'm currently endorsed by the Sierra Club, the Broward Democratic Party, St. George Birthday Club, and all of you. And I'm asking you all know that I serve our residents well. So I'm asking you to go ahead and give me this chance to serve at a different level. I have a lot to bring to the table, as you know, and I'm looking forward to doing so. Again, vote for the best candidate, May Smith, seat number 4.
Okay, thank you. So now we're going to begin with the questions. Each candidate.
Matter of fact, I was just in a rebranding meeting with the city on Tuesday, and what it changing how people look on the outside. So what I'm going to do is, one, I'm going to work with those brands to make sure that people look at it, because we need to be a place where people need to stop and live and work and play, because Lauderhill is a great place, because I am a product of Lauderhill and I am Lauderhill. So I'm going to work with every single citizen, every part, whether you live in Inverary, again, whether you live in Parkway, Larkdale, I'm going to work with everybody, because we need to go ahead and take the city to the next level. And I'm the candidate that is ready doing the work. And on day one, all I've got to do is do what I've continued to do the past decades. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Murray Hilton.
Yes, I'm very glad to answer this question. I feel that a lot of times it's just about bringing people together. So one of the things that I hope to have done on day one is have more transportation offered, especially to seniors, to get from park to park or to events where they don't want to drive at night, because that's important. You have to bring people together. And the way to do that is, of course, we know everyone loves entertainment, everyone loves food, everyone loves knowledge. But a lot of times people say, well, I don't want to drive late at night. And that's one of the simple solutions to getting people together, getting them out and providing them, especially the seniors, with transportation to go to the different places and interact with other people and get to know your neighbors in other communities. That is extremely important. And I think that is something that we will definitely work on from day one.
Thank you. Candidate Dunn.
A powerful question, because this is how I lead. I've said time and time again, government can't do it by ourselves. We need to work collaboratively together. And there are 3 specific ways that I'm currently doing this job. Number 1, within 90 days of being elected, I created a strategic community needs assessment process. This is where we went out and surveyed residents. We did focus groups with a variety of different communities to understand specifically the needs as you see it. We then took that data and analyzed it, gave it to residents who served on a committee that I have for the Lauderhill Health and Prosperity Partnership. The residents then identified the priorities. And through those priorities, we then develop an action plan, and that is driving the agenda for the work that we're doing in the Lauderhill Health and Prosperity Partnership. So that's really some very specific ways that I'm currently leading. Additionally, we just completed a strategic planning process in the city. The mayor, vice mayor, myself, and my colleagues led that process where we engage residents, because your participation is critical to our ability to do this job and to do it effectively. So my intention is to continue to collaborate, to continue to engage residents, particularly youth, faith-based organizations, and businesses. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate London.
Testing. Hi. Can you repeat the question, please?
What have you done or plan to do to actively involve or engage all residents in the decision-making process for shaping the future direction of the city, so there is a greater feeling of unity in the community?
All right, great question. Currently, since I've been running for office in March, I have been listening to our residents. I have been actively going to homes and listening to concerns and making sure that I understood the needs of the community. So I plan on continuing to listen to our residents. I also plan on leading with honesty, integrity, and transparency. I currently feel that our residents are really tired of politics and politicians, and there are real concerns out here that we need to fix. So currently, I have helped residents within the last 60 days with their rent, giving them resources that they need, posting things on social media, and just making phone calls for complaints. And I have been already getting things done for the beautification of our city, residents wanting trees cut down, loud noises that's going on. So I just think that we need to listen to our residents, ask them what they need, and remember that we work for them and not working for our own personal agendas. And also, I have also provided free tutoring for students, again, free literacy courses for those who are looking to buy homes, and I will continue to do that and just help my community.
Okay, thank you. Candidate Smith.
Thank you for calling my name, because I sure didn't remember the order. But that's one of my strengths, is bringing people together. From the start of becoming the president of St. George back in 2002, we went from 20 members to 60 members in 1 year. When the storm came and Wilma put us in a bad financial situation, I created what we call game night to bring the residents together. And that was a very successful thing we did up into the pandemic. And that's another way. Unfortunately, we keep thinking that we need to feed y'all to get y'all to a place. I no longer believe that or think that, because I have gotten you guys to many places to show what's going on, and I didn't have to feed you. We created the task force over in the east side of the city. West Kinloch, St. George, and Broward Estate joined together, and we had what we call the Action Committee, Action Task Force. We got $5,000 from the Urban League through the Knight Foundation, and what we did was brought the community together to find out some serious issues at that time, and we worked to resolve those with, mainly it was code enforcement. So bringing people together is a plus for me. I look forward to engaging you all and continuing to be engaged with you as we continue to move our city forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Martin.
Good evening. All right. The first thing I would do in bringing people together is show up. My opponent over the past year has missed almost 20% of our commission meetings. The thing that you and put us in charge to do. Show up, take care of the city business. You can't do it if you're not there. Since we've been in the commission on the dais over the past 3.5 years, I started a program with the city. The information was already there, called Connect Lauderhill. A lot of you in this room have probably signed up in the last couple years, where you now receive information on a timely notice as to when things are happening or going on in our city. It's just a matter of knowing what resources are out there to make sure the information gets to people, because that's one of the biggest challenges in a city of almost 80,000 people, is how do you get the information across those areas where, again, not all of the seniors use computers, not all of the people are friendly to those apparatuses. But we've made adjustments to move the information by putting signage out and making sure people know where meetings were happening. Additionally, I would challenge anyone in here to say, over the past 3 years, every HOA in the city of Lauderhill has grown, some exponentially, only because we, at the leadership of the city, is making a point to make sure people get connected with their communities, who in turn gets connected with the electeds, to make sure we know what's happening. But I'm going to show up. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next, Candidate Roach.
Back in 2009, when I started with the city of Fort Lauderdale, It was stated to us that the residents felt like they never knew what was happening. They never knew what was going on, what the government, what the city was doing. So we decided that we would be actively involved with our community, which we should be. We started collecting data. We started going to the HOA meetings. We started talking to our residents. We started having meetings of our own to hear exactly what the residents needed. So effective communication is key. And communication is listening and hearing the needs of what the residents want. So the common ground is listening and hearing what the needs of the residents is, and making sure we are engaging in those needs. Whatever the need is, making sure we're effectively taking care of them. So communication, talking to the residents, meeting with them, going to the HOA meetings, making sure, as Vice Mayor stated, show up so they can see us. You see us now, you see us walking, and we need to continue.
Thank you. Candidate Haynes.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I sit on the Affordable Housing Committee, and I hear from a lot of the parents that say, you know what, my child needs a job because they're sitting at home, they're not working, and once you graduate from high school, you don't have an option. You have to go to trade school, you have to go to college. Okay, what I have done was, with the help of the Marine Industries Association of South Florida, is establish an apprenticeship program where we're taking juniors and seniors and we're teaching them about the marine industry. So when they graduate from high school, they can get a $60,000, $70,000 a year job, not a job just working at McDonald's. Because if you understand, ladies and gentlemen, the marine industry is the second largest industry in the state of Florida. And I can't understand for the life of me why the city of Lauderhill, which sits very closely to the city of Fort Lauderdale, has not taken advantage of that. One thing I want you to understand is that when we have in the city of Fort Lauderdale, and Mrs. Roach can tell you, the boat show, we get $1.89 billion in the city of Fort Lauderdale. The city of Lauderhill gets $0. So what we need to do is to get into that industry. We're right next door, we're right down the street. So we need to start partaking into that. We need to start looking at ways to getting things done. And by connecting ourselves with our children, by giving them an opportunity, then, and only then, can we achieve our goal and becoming a great Lauderhill. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so question number 2, and the order will be Smith, Roach, London, Haynes, Martin, Murray Hilton, Davis, and Dunn. So the question is, it's really not a question, it's more asking you for a statement. Businesses are important to a vibrant community. Give us your 90-second elevator pitch on why a business should move to Lauderhill, or they should start a business in Lauderhill. Candidate Smith.
So before we can get to that, we got to first make it welcoming for those businesses. And one of the ways is to reduce some of the fees and business license tax in order to make that happen. Then we have to move to cleaning up and giving a clear vision of our city before we can start inviting people. Let's be honest, nobody is coming to Lauderhill. They don't want to be here. The ones that are coming, we have to make sure they're the right people that are coming and not people who just can't afford to go anywhere else. And rebranding, and I'm glad to hear that the city is starting to talk that, because that's going to be the answer and the key to us attracting people from all places and start for us to invest in our own businesses. Because even right now, if we're honest, a lot of us don't even shop in Lauderhill. And if we start shopping in Lauderhill, we bring more money to us, especially in gas. If y'all don't do anything else, start buying your gas in Lauderhill, because that's money. That gas tax come back to the city. So I would work on that before I move forward with anything else in the city.
Thank you. Candidate Roach.
So I will agree, but I will say that Lauderhill is moving and shaking. We do have the movie studio coming on Northwest 31st Avenue. We have a hotel coming on Sunrise and 441. So it's a perfect opportunity because Lauderhill is growing. We are progressing and we are moving and shaking. And we all should be a part of that. If you want to be a part of a growing business, move to Lauderhill. You're going to bring different types of residents, a different type of community because of that movie studio and the hotel. So it's time. This is the perfect time to come.
Thank you. Candidate London.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yes, businesses are important to a vibrant community. Give us your 90-second elevator pitch on why a business should move to Lauderhill or start a business in Lauderhill.
All right, so we have 74,000 people that's located in the city of Lauderhill. That is enough to bring your business to us. Again, we need to make sure that we improve the look of our city a little bit more, clean up our city to attract Fortune 500 companies to our city. And we need to do that by collaborating with small businesses. We also need to strengthen our small businesses and make our city attractive. I think in our city, we also need a balance, and we need to make sure that our residents are, we're working together to promote our city. We need to also make sure that we're placing businesses in prime locations, making sure that we have a diverse workforce in our city, and also we need the support of our city. So if I'm in office or when I'm elected to office, I will make sure that we are supporting businesses coming into the city by providing them incentives to come to our city, and also, again, waiving of some fees to just make it a little more attractive for them to come in our city. So we need to do that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Candidate Haynes.
Good evening. How many of you are familiar with the LPAC, the Lauderhill Performing Arts Center? Okay, very good, very good. I'd like to make a point. When we have an event at the LPAC, we have maybe, 400 or 500 people. The problem that we have, ladies and gentlemen, is that the LPAC needs to be pitched. That room sound needs to be changed. Once we change the sound in that room, then we can start getting Class B artists to come out and start performing. We are on Sunrise Boulevard in 441. Just imagine this. Julio Iglesias comes in from Fort Lauderdale Airport, comes to our LPAC, does a show, jumps back on Sunrise, and goes back home. Now we're able to take that show and simulcast it throughout the world. Because what we're trying to do, ladies and gentlemen, is we have to change the characterization of our city. We need for people to understand that Lauderhill is not just it's not a drive-through, it's a destination. And we need to show people, hey, look, this is what we can do at the LPAC. Because when they come here, they can't perform. So then they go to Coral Springs. And then they have to drive even further. So ladies and gentlemen, I think what we need to do is to start looking at these little points here that we're talking about. Let's change the LPAC. Then let's start changing the characterization of the people. Then, and only then, will businesses want to come to Lauderhill, because then they'll say, hey, you know what? I'm in California and I saw this great show over at the LPAC. So again, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Candidate Martin.
All right, let's get factual here. And some of this is just not having the knowledge. The last 3 shows at the LPAC were all sold out. The city of Lauderhill has put a lot of investment in that performing arts center, and it is paying dividends. Comedy show we had there a few weeks ago, sold out. Haitian American show we had there a couple days, sold out. So I say that to say the LPAC is actually a little hidden gem that we definitely could market better to make sure it's universal. On top of that, we have a cricket stadium, the #1 cricket stadium in the North America, where we just hosted the World Cup. So Lauderhill has a lot of things to sell. People are talking about the Performing Arts Center. That parking lot right there, I'd help broker a deal where we're bringing in a group that's going to make that lot the new Dania Point. Hotel, mixed use, restaurants, all kind of specialty stuff. These are the things that your elected officials are currently doing. And I can say I took a personal piece of that by bringing the developers to the table. We talk about the movie theater on 31st Avenue. I helped broker deals that netted Lauderhill about 10 acres of prime real estate along 31st Avenue, and I think I saw one of the previous owners in here. And those are because relationships I've had from living in this city, where owners of property will call me, Jabo, I'm thinking about selling. You think the city's interested? Hold that thought. We obtained the Wingate Shopping Plaza. We obtained the Old Fortunes restaurant area. So we are going to bring things to this city that are going to attract people. They're going to want to flock to Lauderhill. We're centrally located. We're close to the turnpike. We're close to the beach. And this is going to be a destination, a place you want to hang out. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Murray Hilton, please.
My remarks about Lauderhill are simple. Location, location, location. For a long time, our city has been underrated. We are in the center of Broward County. We're not far from the beach. We're not far from Sawgrass and the Everglades, and we can be a destination. Someone, when I was campaigning, asked, do you really think we can have economic growth in Lauderhill? Yes, we can, if we are on the path to that now, right now. Because we can't wait till someone else comes in and gentrifies our community. We have to be proactive and start working on that. And I'm glad that the city is taking steps towards that, but we have a lot more to do. And the people have to believe. We have to have a vision, and we have to believe that this can happen. If we offer a good workforce for businesses to come here and they know they have skilled workers that they can hire, is a big plus. If they know that there are amenities here to support that business, that's a big plus. And we also know that Lauderhill offers a lot in terms of entertainment, food, of all types of people and all ethnicity. Lauderhill has a lot to offer. We just have to get busy marketing ourselves.
Thank you. Candidate Davis.
Could you repeat the question, please?
Yes, businesses are important to a vibrant community. Give us your 90-second elevator pitch on why a business should move to Lauderhill or start a business in Lauderhill.
Well, let's look at the 38th Avenue project. That's actually one of my favorite. One of the things that I actually did was I brought in a gentleman by the name of Ron Morrison. Ron Morrison is one of the world's top restaurant consultants. Matter of fact, he's part of the reason why Las Olas and Hampshire Street looks like it does today in downtown Fort Lauderdale. So I brought him in the early part of this so he could take a look at our project and see what the future is going to look like. And he said some great things about this project. So this is just one of the people that I'm bringing to the table that are going to help us go to the next level. And let me tell you something. If you want to see what we can do economically, look at my parents. To think that Lauderhill can't support a big business, one of the most expensive products that you could buy 35 years ago was a computer. There was several $1,000s just for one box. Forget about a monitor, a keyboard. We were right here in our community. And guess what? I gotta say your age, at 78 and 74, they still have a thriving business. So Lauderhill has been a part of our economic development in my family. Even my own business as a DJ. The reason why there's even a Big Man Kelly is because of the city of Lauderhill. As a DJ, I've been at all the events. I've done your proms. I've done your birthdays. I've done your anniversaries. I've even done some of y'all funerals, okay? Even though you're not here, but seriously. Seriously. We can support any business. And one of the things I actually looked at doing was I wanted to bring in a big box store that's going to help us lower our taxes and bring more diversity to our city. And by the way, Oakland Park and 441, second busiest intersection in the county.
Thank you. Candidate Dunn.
Thank you. Lauderhill is the best place to start or scale a business. We have the infrastructure, we have the workforce, we have the potential. The number one challenge that entrepreneurs face around the nation is access to capital. And in the city of Lauderhill, we have recently passed legislation that I sponsored called the Kiva Hub, where you as entrepreneurs will have the opportunity to access up to $15,000 in zero interest loans. Additionally, we have capacity building programs like Lauderhill Shines that will help you to learn everything from sales and marketing to scaling your business with government contracts. Additionally, another legislation that I sponsored and Vice Mayor voted for was the Target Market Program and the SBE program. That has given over $3 million worth of government contracts back to Lauderhill businesses. So if you want to start or scale a successful business, look no further than the city of Lauderhill. You have a commission that will support you. You have a Lauderhill Youth Excel program where our young people are learning clear pathways to STEM careers. So we are grooming them to be the workforce of the future. The city of Lauderhill is business friendly. We are the place where small businesses and large businesses can not only start, but shine. Thank you.
Thank you. So question number 3, and the order will be London, Dunn, Haynes, Martin, Murray Hilton, Roach, Smith, and Davis. And the question is, what are your concerns about drugs and crime in Lauderhill? And what would you do to make the city safer for all citizens? And again, we will start with candidate London.
All right, so that's a good question. So like you, I am concerned with crime, and what we need to do is actually come together when we're talking about crime. It's gonna take all of us, not just our police force. So what we need to do is make sure that we continue to work with our police officers, our police department. Right now there are several initiatives that I have already participated with Coffee with the Cop, riding slow road with the cops. They currently have little initiatives that's going on with Halloween that's coming up. So we need to partner with our law enforcement office. We need to make it safer for people to report crimes. A lot of people are scared to report crimes. So we need to have a process. We do have Crime Stoppers, but a lot of people don't trust Crime Stoppers. So we need to make it more, we need to just make sure it's a better way to report crime, to lower our crime. We also need to do things and bring new jobs in our community. We need to do job training. We need to do educational training, different hubs to help with the things that people think they need to commit crimes because they're hungry. You know, they have different circumstances that's going on. So we need to help our community, we need to help the people in our community, and we all need to come together as a community. If you see something, you need to say something. I have already helped with our community to shut down some of these crime areas in Lauderhill. So we need to work together.
Thank you. Candidate Dunn.
Thank you for that question. This is a real concern for me, as I know it is a concern for all of you. There are a couple of things that we're currently doing. Number one, the Lauderhill Peace 365 initiative is a movement to promote peace and kindness in our city. We'll do so by getting to the root cause of violence so that we can then create policies, systems, and programs to address that at the root cause. As a part of the Lauderhill Peace 365 movement, I'm actually in the process now of speaking with Broward County Schools to put Peace Club in every Lauderhill school. Additionally, there's a new legislation that just passed a couple of weeks ago that I sponsored called the Cardiff Model, which is a part of a national pilot. I've been working with the CDC, Violence Prevention Unit, as well as the Florida Department of Health, where the police department, our hospitals, and our EMS is going to share data about where violence occurs in our city so that we can map it and again address it at the root cause. So this is a program that we'll be rolling out shortly. Additionally, I'm working with the Neighborhood Hub program, which is a grant that I secured, about $280,000, working in Devon Hut and Lauderhill Point to not only address crime at the root cause, but to build community. I do believe that there are a lot of great people in those neighborhoods.
Thank you. Isn't he good? Candidate Haynes.
Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd just like to bring to your attention that in Environ, there is a program which I think is amazing, and I've studied this program. They're going to be utilizing what's called artificial intelligence to help them to secure their community. One of the points that I would like to bring is to take that same technology that Motorola is going to be providing and utilize it throughout the city of Lauderhill. This will help us to ensure that, one, our streets are safer. Two, it will also help us to release the dependency on the police department. So instead of having police officers sitting at corners waiting for action to happen, we have cameras that will monitor the movement, that will then in turn report it to the police department. So therefore, we're able to respond much faster to these areas. Secondly, we do need to focus a little bit more on education. Education in our city, and I love our executive youth here, but I believe what we need to start doing is looking outside our city. The city of Hollywood has the same program, but their program is more intense, more involved. And what I like to do is to bring that program here to Lauderhill, because I believe once kids understand how the government works, they understand how things are taking place, then they're less likely to want to go out there and commit crimes based upon the knowledge and information that they have. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Candidate Martin.
Okay. First of all, 23 years with the federal government. I retired in 2018. Community corrections, law enforcement was my life. Again, educating you, if you're not aware, on what Lauderhill currently has in place. We have technology called LPRs, license plate readers, where they're strategically placed around the city, where it tracks your cars coming in and out of Lauderhill. So if your tag gets put in that system and there's a hit on your tag, police are alerted through their cars and they can come get you. We've had a lot of arrests. We've helped other cities to address their crime problems because we know Lauderhill is a pass-through for a lot of different cities and people coming from left to right, up and down. Secondly, I initiated a program with our corner stores or convenience stores. Every 3 months, I meet with all the convenience store owners, and I basically gave them this charge: carrot or the stick. We know a lot of loitering, a lot of different things happen at these convenience stores. We've taken an active, proactive approach to making sure they do what's right. We've actually shut down one store because it was just dealing in drugs and all kinds of negative things. It was on Channel 4 a couple months ago. We also had another store where we had their hours reduced drastically, which our police department reported back. Calls dropped almost 75% immediately. I meet with our police department every month, and we are actively putting things in place to do it. Smart technology. We're actually on real-time crime. A lot of the cameras in the city report to BSO when things are happening. So a lot of technology is there.
Thank
We're
you.
moving that direction.
Candidate Murray Hilton.
I have a sort of different approach in terms of crime that I want to concentrate on, and it is about prevention. It's about our children dropping out of school, not going to school, their parents not sending them to school, and they eventually become part of the problem because they are no longer in school getting educated and enriching their minds. They're on the streets. And we have to solve that problem. And it hasn't helped that the public schools we have failed our kids in a lot of ways. We have a lot of kids that drop out and there's no intervention with them. And I have a plan for that. I think it is important for us, even if no matter what their home situation is, that we as a community embrace them and help them to get back on the right track so we're not dealing with crime from them 4 or 5 years later or 2 years later. Because if our kids are not getting educated and they are not involved in positive programs that enrich them, that will teach them and engage them and help them to select some career or some path in their life instead of just hanging out on the corner or at the convenience store, that is the key. We have to deal with our youth that are disaffected in Lauderhill. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Roach.
Yes, I do believe that crime is definitely a serious issue in Lauderhill. And one of the things that I like to, I think we should all be diligent about is what type of businesses come to our areas, to our city. I've gone to a couple of restaurants where you have to be wand down. And to me, that doesn't have a good showing for our city. I've gone to other restaurants in other cities, and I don't have to be checked in order to go inside to eat. So I think we should be diligent on what type of businesses come to our area. Also, I believe that we should have more police presence, community police presence in our neighborhood. Personally, I don't see the police as much as I think we should. The only time I do see them is if they're stopping someone or, giving someone a ticket. So I do believe there should be more police presence, whether you're driving up and down the street, stopping and talking to neighbors. I believe that will assist with our crime. Also promote programs like gun buyback programs. That way, any residents have gun, you give them an incentive to bring their guns and sell them back to the police. This was very successful in the city of Fort Lauderdale. And to continue to connect, as Vice Mayor Jabo said, to connect with other cities, because we do know crimes come from other cities as well.
Thank you. Candidate Smith.
So one of the things I've did some research on, and I will continue to do, and before I say that, first off, I have no experience in the police department, so I will not be trying to play the cop. What I will do, though, is sit with them and the ideas that I've researched and found, like one, go from recorded monitoring to live monitoring. What that does is, when we're talking about these cameras that recording things, instead of having it recorded and possibly never going back to look at them, have a live person watching those monitors. And when crime take place, that person will get on the radio and call the police and tell them, this is what's going on here. That's happened in California, and they see a great reduction in their crime. That's one of the things I'm definitely look forward to bringing to Lauderhill. The license plate readers, there are great things all over the city, but I've heard some residents who called in and said the license plate didn't even read or it didn't work. So we need to make sure that all of these cameras and things that we're using are working in order to help our police department. We have a gang crime going on around here. It's really, really scary. I had a call a few months ago about a gentleman who took a young lady from Bahamas, brought him here, married her, and put her into sex trafficking. They ride around in UPS looking trucks, Amazon, and it's a big thing. That is something that we...
Thank you. Sorry, May. Candidate Davis.
Hello. Okay. So let me just tell you, one of the things that you don't know about me is that my family has a huge law enforcement background. Felicia's dad is the first black member of BSO SWAT. My aunt is the first black member of first black sergeant of BSO. That street that runs right through the middle of Lauderhill in front of Florida Medical Center, Charlie Bingham. I'm one of the Bingham boys. Charlie was I'm one of the guys that Charlie took under his wings. Dwight, you remember those days, right, when Mr. Bingham was with us at Boyd Anderson? So one of the things we need to do is make sure that our cops are continuing to connect with our young people. The other thing we need to do is we need to get those boxing gyms back open, and the one in St. George's, we need to get it open as soon as possible, because that's how we connect to the young people. Now, one of the things that I'm doing directly on a day-to-day basis as the job coach at Boyd Anderson High School, we're actually raising your next generation of police officers. We had 3 students last year come to me directly, just looking for to get into law enforcement. And Herb, I called you. I'm one of the young people who wanted to get in the fire department, to see how to do that. So I'm raising your next generation of police officers and firefighters, because that's how we're going to make a difference. We got to start raising the next generation so that they know what they should be doing, how they should act, how they should be conducting themselves out in public. So that's the reason why I'm your next commissioner for the city of Lauderhill. Thank you.
Thank you. So next we have question 4, and the order will be Murray Hilton, Martin, Davis, Smith, Roach, Haynes, Dunn, and London. So question 4, besides crime, what are the top 2 or 3 issues you feel Lauderhill is facing in the next 4 years? And again, we'll start with candidate Murray Hilton.
I believe one of the issues that not just Lauderhill, but other areas across the nation is housing and affordable housing. We're in a crisis right now. And as an insurance agent, I know this only too well, that people are hurting. And I think that we have to look for solutions to that on the national level, but also on the local level. And what I'm particularly concerned with is teachers. We have teachers teaching our children who are barely making enough to pay rent anywhere. And that's a shame. And we have to look after the people who are looking after our kids. So that's one thing near and dear to me. I have a young son who is going to be 26 this year, and his concern is that I'll never be able to afford a home, or I'll never be able to get my own place and move out. And this is something that on the state level as well as on the local level we have to start looking at. It's all well and good having all these housing projects and developments coming in, but what's going to be left for just the person who's just looking for a place to live at a reasonable and affordable rate?
Okay, thank you. Candidate Martin.
Thank you. I'm going to have to piggyback on what Ms. Murray just said. The cost of living in general is stifling a lot of people, be it taxes, be it home insurance, or like you said, the cost of living from a housing perspective and or rent. That's why myself and Commissioner Dunn, along with Mayor Thurston, have been the only elected officials over the past 3 years that have consistently gone to Tallahassee and to Washington, D.C. to lobby on your behalf, bringing back, I'm going to say, close to $10 million over the course of those 3 years of tax dollars that didn't come out of your pocket to help things in the medical history, in the medical field, or people with mental health issues, and we're going to continue to do that. The housing market, a lot of these things are controlled in Tallahassee. We often say, and you've heard it up here tonight, your electeds cannot solve these problems by themselves. We constantly hold town halls and give informational sessions where we need you, the public, to be on board with us when we make these moves. We've taken people to Tallahassee. I know the community is putting something together now where we want to make sure we lobby our governor and his cabinet to know that the condo fees, the assessments that are being put on people right now, is going to turn Lauderhill into just a desert eventually, because people can't afford to pay them. And we'll have people walking away from their residence in the next 2 or 3 years. So our local officials, our county officials, our federal elected, thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Davis.
To piggyback, again, one of the most important things that we're all dealing with is that we're on the verge of the next housing crisis. Just in case you guys don't know, according to the Sun Sentinel, Broward County alone is 200,000 homes short of where it should be. And as a job coach at Boyd Anderson High School, I have the unfortunate, I have to deal with some of these parents who are losing their homes and trying to help them get housing. That's one of my jobs as a job coach. So I've seen families get kicked out of their homes because the rent just got raised by $750. And then not making an additional $750. And as for those teachers, I work with the same teachers. The starting salary for a teacher is $51,000 a year. Guess what? More than 50% of that has to be spent on renting an apartment in the city of Lauderhill. And I'll be honest with you, I can't even afford to buy a house in Parkway right now because the prices are there. So we've got to get ready to, and by the way, Kelvin, I heard you mention Enveron. Let me tell you what's happening to some of those seniors in Enveron, where their HOAs a few months ago was $500. It's now $1,000. Their income didn't go up. So we've got to be prepared to help these people. I'm working with the Broward Task Force for Affordable Housing. I'm working with HUD. This past weekend, I was the guest speaker for FSS to help those young people get the grants that they need to get their homes together and buy houses. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Smith.
So I sit in a position where I see a lot in reference to how taxes are affecting new homeowners. And I've learned a lot about ways that we can reduce taxes for our seniors, for our new homeowners, in various ways. I have to be able to sit down with legislators and bring these ideas to them. And one way we have to do that is every year when they're getting ready to have session, we have to make sure that those elected officials know that we have these issues and we have to deal with them. Now, when we sit down to the table with them and produce these and present these ideas, we have to make sure that they understand we don't want to hear you coming back talking about, I'm just one vote. We want to hear that you fought for that one vote to get passed to the others so that we can win some of the things that are happening to condos especially. The assessment fees are killing them. When I get to office, what I look forward to doing is sitting down with my colleagues and let us take a bold look at what like the Sadowski Fund is, where you take 1 penny from several tax and revenues that we have coming into the city, and we can use that to help homeowners with whatever their cases may be, the taxes, the assessment, saving their homes. But Lauderhill have to be willing to be bold enough to take some of that revenue and set it aside in a trust fund that will benefit our residents.
Thank you. Candidate Roach.
Can you repeat the question?
Yes. Besides crime, what are the top 2 or 3 issues you feel Lauderhill is facing in the next 4 years?
Okay. I'm quite sure most of you have received my information, my publication on why I'm running, and my first priority is development. I think that is a very big concern in the city of Lauderhill. We are the central part of Broward County. We're the heart of Broward County, and our development is lacking. Sometimes we don't want development, but if every city around us is progressing and we're staying stagnant, that's an issue, which leads to why are our taxes so high, okay? So if we have high taxes and we're living here in the city, our city doesn't reflect those high taxes. We want to make sure that if we're paying these high taxes, our city reflects it. So we need development, we need to look into our budget, and we all should have standards, because the next one will be beautification. I want to live next to my neighbor that's keeping his house clean, keeping his area nice, his grass cut. And if we don't have beautification, but we have high taxes, that's a problem. So smart development, lowering the taxes, and beautification of our neighborhoods.
Okay, please wait until the end. Thank you. Candidate Haynes.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we do have a problem with taxes, and that will be something forthcoming. One of the approaches that I've always thought was that we need to have a zero balance budget where we analyze every line item that goes into that budget before we just rubber stamp and put it in. By doing this, we can analyze, understand exactly what these taxes are, what we're paying for, and to justify that we are getting what we are supposed to be getting from that. Secondly, I see, and as most of you all will soon see, is that we're going to have a problem with the condominiums and the special assessments. I can't understand why Broward County does not have a program in place to address this. This is being addressed in Miami-Dade, Palm Beach, everywhere but in Broward County. I believe here in the city of Lauderhill, we have to start making noise, because you remember the squeaky wheel gets the oil. So ladies and gentlemen, we don't need to wait 4 years for this problem to come, because the problem is already here and it's at our doorstep right now. So what we need to do is we need to start sitting down and analyzing what's taking place, what's going on. What do we need to do? We need to stop this before it gets out of hand. So I believe we need to invest into the special assessment program, such as Miami-Dade County, where they're giving their residents 40 years to pay back $100,000. This will help ease them into keeping their homes, because home ownership, ladies and gentlemen, we do have the Live Local Act, which is helping to develop and provide homes for us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Candidate Dunn.
This is something that I've been thinking about a lot, and I actually the city has already identified the priorities. We just recently passed a strategic plan, a 5-year plan to get us to 2030. And that plan includes making improvements around infrastructure, making improvements around health and safety, making improvements around the quality of life of Lauderhill. That strategic plan is research driven. We had a lot of focus groups with residents, and it's a plan that I voted for, and it's a plan that I stand by. So my intention in my second term is to focus on people, making sure that the city manager has all of the resources she needs in order to execute that plan. And then my other piece is for me to go outside of Lauderhill to bring back the resources that we will need in order for us to solve some of our biggest challenges. The bottom line is we cannot do it by ourselves. We need organizations like the National League of Cities. We need organizations like different foundations to invest in Lauderhill so that we may move the city forward together. So my answer to that is the priorities have already been identified, and my intention is to work with my colleagues to move it forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate London.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Besides crime, what are the top 2 or 3 issues you feel Lauderhill is facing in the next 4 years?
All right, so one of the things that I am a professional realtor, and one of the things that I see that's going on is the down payment assistance program that is going on in Lauderhill. I just recently got an 83-year-old woman approved to get a mortgage, and she's on Social Security. And we did that in the city of Lauderhill. Lauderhill was able to give her $80,000 in down payment assistance program. We need to bring something like that to Lauderhill. Currently, Lauderhill has a down payment assistance program, and they're giving up to $50,000 in down payment assistance. But there's one little cliche that's going on. The interest rate has to be 6% or lower. Who's getting an interest rate right now of 6%? No one. So why can't we as a commission tweak that and say, yes, we can give you this $50,000 to go into a down payment assistance program, but we need to move the interest rate up to 6.5% or 7%. So we need to make little tweaks like that. I commend Ms. Dunn and Mr. Martin, because one of the jobs as a commissioner is to go out and find the money. Yes, we need to go to Tallahassee and show up and take those trips to go find the money, and that's going to help our HOAs. That's going to help our HOAs reduce the assessments that's going on, because right now, I wouldn't even buy a condo if I was anyone. So we need to go out, find that money, bring it to the city of Lauderhill, and revamp our down payment assistance program. That's one issue.
Okay, thank you. So we'll begin now with question 5, and the order will be Haynes, Davis, Murray Hilton, Roach, Dunn, Smith, London, and Martin. So the question is, if elected, what is your first short-term goal, and how would you accomplish it? And again, we will start with candidate Haynes.
Thank you. My first short-term goal would definitely be to secure this program in regards to the special assessment for our residents, because once again, we're having a serious problem. And eventually, you have to understand that once these people are faced with the option of paying their HOA, paying their mortgage, and paying the assessment, the question becomes, which one do you want to take the property? Then you're going to have developers that are going to come in, and they're going to take over, and they're going to change the way this city is. So, ladies and gentlemen, I believe the first thing we need to do is to start addressing these issues that are affecting our community. We also need to address the youth. We need to make certain that we do have programs in place that they can attend, that they can go to, so they will be able to go out and make a living and not have to stay at home with mom and dad or trying to borrow money to get things done. So by bringing in these marine industry jobs to our community, that is going to be something also that I will be working hard to make certain happens under my leadership. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Davis.
Could you repeat the question?
Yes, if elected, what is your first short-term goal, and how would you accomplish it?
Well, the great thing is that if I'm elected commissioner, I don't have to wait. First thing, I've never had to wait until becoming a commissioner to do the commissioner's job. I've been doing it for decades. And one of the things that I've been doing, and I'm glad that Kelvin brought up the fact about having to deal with our young people. Again, as a job coach at Boyd Anderson, we actually have a Marine program that we have with Junior Achievement that I've been running, and some of the kids right here in the city of Lauderhill are actually benefiting from it through the Junior Achievement Pre-Apprenticeship Program. The other thing that I'm going to do is, matter of fact, what I've actually already done, we have a scholarship here in the city of Lauderhill, and one of the commissioners complained that there was not enough money brought for this scholarship. So what I did was I got with one of our community partners, and now that scholarship for the 3rd year is now twice of what it used to be. I got with Roderick Hagan, who's our local McDonald's owner, and he donated $5,000 and made that scholarship now $10,000. And we're actually looking at doing more like that to help your young people get to college. So these are the things that I'm already doing. And the other thing that I would definitely do is see what we can do, because one of the things that we do need is more police officers in our city. One of the problems that we have is the police academy. BSO is taking up all the space with the police academy. So we've got to make sure that we get our next generation of police officers in. And by the way, Lauderhill is the toughest police department to get into in the county.
Thank you. Candidate Murray Hilton.
That's an easy question for me, because from the day back in 2010 when I formed my nonprofit, the Today Project, youth were always on my mind, and especially teens going through that vulnerable age. And so I already have a plan in place for an extensive aftercare program, as well as some special programming. And the beauty of it is that the city will only have to provide the place, but all of the input will come from the private sector, as it should, who will be encouraged, and businesses to pour into the program. And it will help our youth, as I mentioned before. We have to have a future. Right now we're talking about the problems we have, but if we don't address the problems with our youth, some of them are in dysfunctional homes, there's mental health issues, as Commissioner Dunn knows very well, because she's done a lot of analysis on this type of thing. We have to reach out to them, and the time is now. We can't wait till they fall by the wayside and become a problem. We need to have a good future, and the way Lauderhill gets that is by caring for our kids.
Okay, thank you. Candidate Roach.
Again, mine will be beautification. I think this is a low-hanging fruit, as government is usually a challenge to get things done. But I believe that we need to make sure I've listened to our residents. I've been in the HOA meetings. I hear their concerns about code. I believe that code officers should be at every HOA meeting, listening to our residents and understanding exactly their needs and their concerns in the city. I think the code officers should be out in the neighborhoods to see exactly what needs to be done. Not us, the residents, always calling the city to say, hey, the sidewalks need to be clean. Code officers should be out. Code officers should be present. Code officers should have relationships with their residents, and they should be attending the HOA meetings and not always putting this on commissioners and letting the commissioners know, hey, we need to clean our city. So my first goal in office is making sure those code officers are attending the HOA meetings and having a relationship with their HOA.
Thank you. Candidate Dunn.
I'm going to put my glasses on because I actually do already have a action plan for the next 6 months, and I'll read you my to-do list. So I am in the process, should I be re-elected, I had a great meeting. The city manager and I met with Chase Bank to launch a Chase Homebuyer Grant Program. So should I be elected, we'll be moving that forward for December. We just passed the Kiva Hub providing the loans. I want to launch that January 25. I had a meeting this past week with Senator Osgood and members of the Northwest Broward County elected officials, And we are putting together a meeting to discuss with folks in Tallahassee, the Insurance Commission, the actual issue around insurance. And that meeting should be scheduled in November. We have Lauderhill Shines Cohort 9 currently occurring. They'll graduate in December. We'll start Cohort 10 in January. The Lauderhill Success Summit is a new event that I'd like to do. Our Lauderhill Peace 365 plan, I've been meeting with the Broward County Schools, so we should be ready to bring a MOU in front of the commission, and I can't say anything else because hopefully we'll be sitting together. But I want to get those peace clubs in schools. Broward Health, we have been negotiating to get them to bring the mobile unit to different neighborhoods in Lauderhill. So that's one thing I'd like to get off the ground. And of course, my crime prevention program, Cardiff, launch. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Smith.
So you guys know I have a lot planned to do, but you guys are asking me for one, but I'm going to speak of two. One is our seniors. As I said, at the property appraiser's office, I learned so much about the tax breaks and areas of monies that is just sitting there that a lot of our seniors just don't know about. So day one, I'm going to start having workshops so you guys learn possibilities of taxes that you can take a break, and so our seniors will be reduced in their taxes. As well as there are some areas that we need to work with Tallahassee so that you can qualify, because right now your income can't be more than $36,000. That is really low for a lot of us, especially when you got two people in the household and you're not able to qualify. The other thing is economic development within. And one of the ways we do that, we got about 2,000 plus houses coming into the city that's planned. We got the 441 corridor that we talked about. All that is development and economic opportunities for our residents. And instead of hiring folk from all over the place, why not hire right here? But we also know that we have a lot of issue with our residents here. And we have to work with them, get them trained, get them some skills. If they got felons and all that type of stuff that would prevent them from doing so, we can work with them and work with the developers so that.
Thank you. Candidate London.
Thank you. I love my city, and I live here, I work here, and I play here. And one of the first things I want to do is attract residents to our city. And the residents that we have here, the renters, I want to turn them into homeowners. And I think by turning them into homeowners, they'll take more pride in their place, their house, their community, and they will work together. So the first thing I do want to focus on is revitalizing our down payment assistance program, focusing on how to get residents to our city, how to keep the current residents that we have from moving out of our city, and just making our city a better place to be. Because a lot of our residents are trying to move, a lot of our seniors are moving, and we want to keep what we have here. We want to cater to our elderly. We want to cater to, I have 4 boys. I want them to buy homes in the city of Lauderhill. So we need to revamp our down payment assistance program, see how we can get more money into our city so that people can move here and stay in the city of Lauderhill. So that's the first thing, my short-term goal is what I want to do, is attract people to our city, because this is a city that I love. I've been here, my mom lives here, my children live here, and I'm not going anywhere. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Candidate Martin.
Okay, I'm going to take a different approach here. A lot of you may not be aware that Lauderhill is very close to becoming a healthcare desert. Now, what does that mean? How many of you knew about Plantation Hospital, where all the babies were born over the past 30, 40 years, up and moved to Davie? The hospital right here on Oakland Park right now, Florida Medical Center, is currently in bankruptcy. Stewart has filed for bankruptcy, and that hospital is in jeopardy of closing. Okay? If that hospital goes away in the city of Lauderhill, every transport that our firefighters and rescue are doing now, you're either going to Broward General or up in Tamarack. And as we know, certain life-threatening things are time restrictive. So we're talking about loss of life at this point. For the past 2 years, myself, my colleague, we've been working to push this colleague, to push Broward Health. Everybody in this room plays, if you look at that tax bill that we talk about so much, a big chunk of that goes to Broward Health. Where's the closest Broward Health facility to Lauderhill? Think about it. We're fighting with, I won't say fighting, we're in discussion with them right now to make sure our tax dollars reflect a presence that that hospital, that district has in our community, because we're an aging community, and the healthcare piece is so important to make sure that life and limb and liberty are important. And I see a lot of nurses out here shaking their head. So healthcare for Lauderhill.
Okay, thank you. Question number 6, and the order will be Roach, Smith, Martin, Dunn, London, Davis, Haynes, and Murray Hilton. The question is, climate change is here and it affects all of Florida. Specifically for Lauderhill, provide 1 to 2 actions that Lauderhill should be doing now to improve its environmental footprint. And again, we'll start with candidate Roach.
I do believe Lauderhill is already acting on that, as we're not even supposed to have water bottles in the city. But I do believe it's education. A lot of us are not familiar, unfortunately, about climate change. Some of us believe that the hurricanes are masterminded by people, but we have to do a little better and educate our people on climate change and what that means and how it's going to affect us. So education for me is key. Education is getting that information out to the residents and letting them know what we need to do as a community to make sure we can slow down the climate change.
Thank you. Candidate Smith.
So as a member of the Sierra Club, which is an environmental group that I'm very active in, I'm learning a great deal about climate change and things that we need to start doing. In our city, we deal with a lot of flooding. So I know in parts of our neighborhood, the drains haven't been dredged or cleaned. And so therefore we end up with a lot of trash and debris in there, and that causes flooding when the rains come. There is a thing now that you can put a screen over those drain holes so that that trash don't go in there and back it up, and that will release some of the workload on our workers. Also, compostable. There's a way we can dispose our trash without having it to go to the landfill, and I look forward to working with.
Thank you. Candidate Martin.
On this thing, again, kind of like having a bit of a cheat sheet, because things that the city's been doing already is not noticed to a lot of the candidates, obviously. We implemented a citywide flooding study a couple years ago, and the vendor came back with a list of maybe 7 items that we could do, and he prioritized them by cost and matter of importance. And we've started to do some of that. Some of you have been the recipients of having your swells dug out, which took water off the road, kept it where it's supposed to be in the swells over the course of years. People just have kept putting grass on top of grass. And if you drive down the road and the swells are higher than the road, guess where the water's going to stay? In the road. So we've also done things where South Florida Water Management, another one of those people on your tax bill, hadn't updated our ability to open the pumps, which people always say, lower the canal, lower the canal. You have to understand South Florida Water Management determines when those pumps can be turned on. Otherwise, you can face fines up to $10,000 a day. They hadn't looked at our numbers in years. This guy came and did a study. They had to adjust our numbers immediately because we were so far behind the 8 ball. So again, we're continuing to do things in reference to the flooding, which is probably one of the biggest concerns of individuals. My colleague passed a single-use plastics. I still haven't got used to using the wooden spoons, but I keep a plastic one in my back pocket, but I ain't gonna tell you that.
Thank you. Candidate Dunn.
Thank you. And yes, I did sponsor a bill that limited eliminated the use of single plastic, like plastic water bottles, on city property to eliminate a lot of plastic from our use, which is not good for the environment. It gets in our oceans, and it gets in the canals, which then causes the backup and the flooding. So 3 things. Number 1, we have a strategic plan, and I would encourage all of the candidates to go online and take a look at that strategic plan. Part of the reason why I want you to re-elect me is because we started great work, and I want to have the opportunity to continue it. In our strategic plan, infrastructure and resiliency is one of our priority, and that plan calls for a lot of solutions that's going to improve or address climate change. Additionally, we're going to be creating a climate action plan by 2026. So I believe that plan, along with the research that my colleagues with that Vice Mayor spoke about, is going to help to address all of that. I'm also representing the city on the solid waste board, which we're working to develop a 40-year master plan to address solid waste distribution in Broward County, and the city of Lauderhill is not only at the table, I'm on the executive board. So this is something that's critical. I believe the city is on the right track with our planning, and I'd like the opportunity to continue to move us forward. And I'm hopeful that Vice Mayor will be our mayor, and he'll be sitting next to me, and my colleagues here will be sitting next to me. Okay.
Thank you. Candidate London.
All right, so as far as, as far as climate change, one of the things that I talked to one of my neighbors, and my neighbor is big on solar power, solar system. He has 2 Teslas, and I think that's one of the big things that will help climate change in our community. We need to get with the experts to see exactly how our residents can trust solar, switch over to solar, and that's going to save energy. That's going to help us with climate change. Right now, I researched that the city of Lauderhill actually won a LEED award in the city because they are operating on solar, and I think that's going to help with climate change. So, no, I'm not the expert on climate change, but I'm smart enough to get with people and our residents who are passionate about our environment, and we need to meet more with them and figure out how we can bring these different resources to our city and how our residents can be comfortable, because we do have a nursing home in the city of Lauderhill that's operating on solar as well, and that's going to save on our light bills and all of our bills that's going on. So we need to research that more. So I think that's a good idea to help with climate change and also the zero waste that we have in the city. So we need to focus more on zero waste and ways that we can recycle better in the city.
Okay, thank you. Candidate Davis.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yes, climate change is here and it affects all of Florida. Specifically for Lauderhill, provide 1 or 2 actions that Lauderhill should be doing now to improve its environmental footprint.
I think one of the most important things that we can do, first thing, is educating our public. One of the things that I've learned is that in our recycling program, a lot of times we don't realize how easy it is to contaminate that thing that we want to recycle. By having one thing inside that container, it will contaminate the whole entire container, and then it becomes useless. And honestly, LaToya, I have to remind you of when this question was brought in the last debate, or the last forum, you said that the recycling problem was a China problem here in Lauderhill. It's a Lauderhill problem. We have to start taking responsibility for what we do. Okay, and again, it starts by educating, coming up with an action plan. A lot of people don't even know this, but what is it, trash, what do they call it, trash in Coconut Creek? We only had about 3 feet left where we can get rid of our trash. So we are at an environmental issue. Me personally, what I've even done, if you come to my apartment over in Cypress Grove, my plates, they're made from bamboo. If I go buy something at McDonald's, I actually keep that cup. I learned that from my mother. If you go to my mother's house, the vice mayor, former vice mayor of Lauderhill Lakes, if you go to our house, we have a slew of cups that when we go to McDonald's, or we don't throw those things away. We continue to use them over and over again. Thank you. I got to put it out.
Thank you. I hope your mother is still speaking to you when this is all over. Okay. The next candidate is candidate Haynes.
I don't think I could top that one, but ladies and gentlemen, I think climate change is very important. If most of you go outside the city of Lauderhill and to other areas, have you ever been to the Coral Square Mall? They have right inside the mall how do we call this? It's a statue that has fresh water, and it's showing you coral reefs. And it gives you a message saying, look, this is what we're destroying. I believe we need to take that concept and put it here in Lauderhill. So when you're sitting at City Hall, as most of you do, to pay your water bill, you will have something to remind you of the climate, to remind you of what's taking place, to remind you, hey, you know what? Because not all of us, and I'll be the first to tell you, I don't go to the city's website and look all of that information up in regards to climate change. It only affects us when it affects us. So if you're out there, we need to start posting these things within the city to make people more aware, to make them understand, hey, you know what? The reason that hurricane is coming is due to climate change. And here's some of the points that you could do. Here's some of the things that we should know about climate change. So one of my first points would be is to start putting these little items throughout the city, in City Hall, in the malls, because they're doing it already in Coral Springs. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm just saying we should look around and mirror some of these points and bring it home so we can all be on the same page in regards to climate change. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Murray Hilton.
Climate change is real, and when residents complain about flooding, well, guess what? You need to be making sure that you're not dumping things in the canal like couches and tires and trash, and that your neighbor isn't either, and that you're maintaining your canal bank that you're responsible for. That's the first thing. The second thing, in regard to electric cars, we need to have more charging stations in Lauderhill, and I'm all in favor of that because that will encourage people. If it's convenient for them, they will be more inclined to look to an electric car. In terms of solar, that is also a good option for people to save on electricity. But basically, in terms of recycling, we need education, education, education. What you can recycle, how to keep the recycling bin clean. I learned a lot from that, and if we do that, it does help the environment because we have to solve that solid waste problem over time. We can't continue to do what we're doing now and expect different, better results. We also can encourage, just like the City Hall is, environmentally and LEED-friendly buildings to be built as part of the Lauderhill scenario. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So the final question and the order for responses will be Dunn, London, Smith, Davis, Haynes, Murray Hilton, Martin, and Roach. So while the City Commission does not control the schools within the city, what would you tell the school board about the schools and what should be done in there for the future? We'll start with candidate Dunn.
Thank you for that question. I actually, I'm having conversations currently. A week ago, I had a principals roundtable meeting with principals from various schools in the city of Lauderhill. And what I'm hearing the principals say is that they need more support, not just from the school board, but also from residents. So one of the things that I would say to our school board, and that I have said to our school board, is we need to make sure that this issue of looking at Lauderhill schools to close, we need to make sure that we present a plan that takes into account what the residents want, I also want to make sure that the school board realizes that it is not okay to have empty buildings just sitting there. We need to figure out a strategy to repurpose those buildings. I believe that the school board recently the committee came up with a plan, and that plan is going to be presented to the school board. I think they're waiting for the new board to come into place. So what I would say to you as residents is to go on the school board's website and look at that plan, and then call me, a vice mayor, and let us know what your thoughts are so that we can take them to our school board members and fight for what you want. This is our schools. I'm really grateful that we have now an ACE school in the city of Lauderhill. We're on an upward trajectory, and we need to continue the path.
Thank you. Candidate London.
As an educator for over 16 years, I do not support the closing of schools. So we need more support of our teachers. We need more support of our students. And that's one of the things that we need to do. Broward Estates is one of the schools that are on the verge of repurposing. I don't want that to close, because as new residents move into the city, we're going to need those schools. If we're going to repurpose it, we don't want more apartments and things going up high in our neighborhood, especially not in the St. George community. If we're going to do something like that, we need a multi-purpose building like the YMCA. So I support the schools. We need to get more mentoring into our schools, and we need to just make sure our school system remains strong, and that is by us as the commission partnering with the city of Lauderhill. And then real quickly, I want to address Mr. Kelly, because had you attended the waste management program and a meeting that we had in the city of Lauderhill, you would have known that in 2018, China stopped accepting trash and recyclables from the USA. And now in that meeting, we were getting educated in that meeting on our waste problem that we have and learning. And that's what we need to do, is promote this in the city so more people will come to these meetings and they'll be educated on exactly what we need to do with our waste program, what we need to do with our schools, what we need to do with our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Please. Candidate Smith.
So, like London said, I am totally against closing of schools in any neighborhood, and definitely in the manner they're talking about merging low-performing students with other schools that are low-performing will not answer our problems. They have promised us to bring resources in. The school has not done that. One thing I will make sure I will do when I get there, because we all have a following. Every elected official has a following, and that following will be you telling them, we're going to the school board and we're going to fight against that. You know how many people will show up to those meetings, because they're very low, so we're not being taken seriously. But if every one of our elected officials take their following and fill that room up, they would not be still talking about repurposing or closing our schools. So I look forward to getting there and doing just that, bringing everyone with me, all the supporters, making it more known, until you guys come out and we tell them our schools would not be closed, because we need our schools. Our children need resources to help them in those low areas that they're having trouble, and we also need to work with the parents at home so that they will be able to influence their children to be better in school. So I look forward to the job.
Thank you. Candidate Davis.
Repeat the question, please.
We'll keep the talking down. Thank you. While the commission does not control the schools within the city, what would you tell the school board about the schools and what should be done for the future?
Actually, we can use the school that I'm currently the job coach at Boyd Anderson High School as an example. Boyd Anderson is now a B school, where it wasn't before. And that's happened in the past 2 years since I've been there. Now, one of the things that we've actually done is we've actually come up with some programs. As a matter of fact, I'm actually a product. My career that I've had working in radio, I actually started in a program called Partners in Excellence back in 1988. And because of that program, when I graduated, I had a job waiting for me right here at WRBD Radio. So that's where it actually started for me. So I'm a product of Broward County Schools. So we need you guys to come in and fight. We need, as residents, we need you to fight in your neighborhood. Because again, I am your kid's future. And I actually went back to Boyd Anderson. And I'm working with our principal there, Mr. Griffin. We have a barber program. We are going to have your next electricians, your next carpenters, your next HVAC people. They're right there at Boyd Anderson High School. These are the programs that we're doing right there that are going to take your kids and put them in the next, whether they're going to college or not. And by the way, what I did today, I actually saved a program that we almost lost. I was able to save $500,000 in scholarship money today. That's going to help your kids get into college and go into trade school. So we need your support. Come out and help your local school.
Thank you. Candidate Haynes.
Well, one of the first things I would do is I would stand up to the school board members and let them know that, one, we need innovation and creation back into our schools. We need to make certain that we have trade programs that our children can learn who don't want to attend college or who can't afford to attend college. Because the thing of it is, ladies and gentlemen, we need to have a member from the city commission that is not afraid to go to the school board and let them know. Because I'm going to tell you something, if you're not at the table, chances are you're on the menu. And we've been on the menu for far too long. I've seen the programs out at Western University, which is what they call it. They have a program where they're taking their juniors and their seniors and they're partnering them with their commission so they can understand how the government works. They can see where the money goes and they can understand how the tax dollar is spent. Now that program is excellent because Mayor Hirsch, who graduated from Harvard University, came back to Weston to become their mayor because of that program. We don't have that program in certain schools in our area. Ladies and gentlemen, they're on the table right now looking to do away with our schools here, locally in Lauderhill. And you know what that means? People are not going to want to come to Lauderhill because you have failing schools, you have D schools, you don't have the A schools that they have out west. So what that means is we're going to have to pay more in taxes. So we need to stand up to the school board members and say, you know what, enough is enough. Now we're at the table and we're going to start demanding. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Murray Hilton.
I feel very strongly about this because, as I said, I'm all about youth. I think that we don't need less learning centers, we need more learning centers. Now, if we're talking about vocational schools, I am particularly encouraged to have vocational schools because, after all, as other people have said, not everybody is going to college. And by the way, all my customers that have a vocation like electricians and plumbers, they're making more money than I am. So it's not a bad gig at all. And I think we have to meet our children where they are, and if they're interested in other things, there's so many things, culinary, engineer, there's so many different vocations that we have to expose our children to. So they shouldn't be thinking about closing any of our schools. They should be thinking about maybe creating innovative learning centers, and that's what we need. We need more for our kids and more options for our kids, not less.
Thank you. Candidate Martin.
Thank you. Again, this is a learning opportunity for everybody. Because when you talk about places like Parkland, and when you continue to compare our city to other cities, I'm not going to stand here for that for very long. Lauderhill has a lot of interesting, active things happening to it. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9 kids sitting up front right now. Our youth council, they're involved in our city. They're involved with the community. They travel the country and get the opportunities to see how government works. So you can compare us to Parkland. You can go out there and pay more taxes if you want. As far as the school system goes, again, as one of the elected officials, I've made literally every meeting that the school board has put on. I've met with the superintendent, the last 3 that have come and gone, as a purpose of making sure that our city was not left behind. We're not being served on the menu. And the reason we have SROs in our community right now is because of activities that we were not going to let the school board overlook us. They passed a budget that didn't include Lauderhill having SROs. I grabbed the city manager, I grabbed the police chief, we went down to the school board, we pulled Mr., I forget the previous superintendent in. It was not Hepburn, it's the guy before him. We pulled him into a meeting, and before we left that building, he made a phone call, and we had SROs in our school. So there's no serving, there's nobody walking over Lauderhill. Not while Jabo is sitting up here. It's just not going to happen. So there's work to be done, and again, it's not this group that's going to fix it. We need y'all. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Roach.
Education is very powerful and key in our communities, and I believe there are power in numbers. So we have to be in front of the school board members and letting them know exactly how we feel in droves, in huge numbers. Nothing gets done without voices, not a voice, voices. So the first thing that I would tell the school board members is to go into the classroom, because I'm quite sure none of them have been there since they've been students. So they can experience exactly what's going on in the schools. Be there for more than just a day, 2, 3, 4 days a week, to see exactly what's happening in the school system and how to make a better and informed decision. Just as I stated, none of us can go by ourselves and talk to the school board members because they won't listen. We're just one voice. We have to come together as a community and go speak to our school board members and let them know exactly how we feel, what we want, not just go with problems, but go with the solution. So numbers is greater in numbers, not just one single person attending the school board and advocating on behalf of our school system.
Thank you. So now we come to the closing statements by the candidates, and we will do this in the reverse order from the opening statements. Each candidate will have 1 minute for their closing statement. Okay. So the first candidate will be candidate May Smith to give her closing statement. And again, it's 1 minute.
Again, May Smith for seat number 4, the best candidate to serve you from that seat. Make no mistake that I am uninformed. I am very informed. If I was a little quiet, it's because it was time to be. But make no mistake, if May Smith get to that seat, a lot of things that we need happening from my perspective, I'm going to bring it forth. We were promised in St. George to be a part of that 5-year plan.
In seat 4. Why seat 4? Why? Because I have shown up. From my move to Lauderhill, I have always shown up, and I have been a part of the community. I've been a part of the community in terms of economic development through the chamber. I've been part of the community on serving on a board that has made great strides in code enforcement and other issues that we've taken up, including the school board, which I'm glad that came up, because I was one of the ones that actually invited Jeff Holness to come and speak with us, and was very vocal, and you can see I have that on my social media. However, I feel that Lauderhill is going places, and I feel that I have the experience, and the work that I have done is very diverse, and I am ready to go.
Okay, thank you. So the 2 candidates for commission seat number 3, and we'll start with candidate London.
Thank you. Thank you all for listening to us. I want you to vote for me because I am deeply committed to the community. I want you to also vote for me because I have actively been working in the community. I have already been helping people get funding for emergency housing. I've been helping people do sandbags. I have attended every commissioner meeting since I have entered into the race. I have attended every event that is happening in the city since I have attended the race. I have been actively engaged in our committee and our commission meetings since I have entered in the race. And before then, I have been helping my community, helping the unhoused, helping people get homes, helping people fix their credit. And that's just me not being in the commission seat. So I've been funding things on my own, using my own personal money to do this. So imagine if you put me in office, imagine how much we can do together. So I'm not just showing up at the end and trying to attend meetings. I have been there.
Thank you. Candidate Davis.
First thing, let me just say this. I have love for all the candidates on this panel. This race is not personal. This race is about performance. And let me tell you something. I've never had to wait to get involved into a race to get involved with my community. This is something that I do on a day-to-day basis. It's a way of life for me. Matter of fact, my parents, my ex-wife, my girlfriend, my friend Harold, they will tell you about the sleepless nights that I have because I'm out helping this community. In my car right now, it's full of food because I found out today through a phone call that somebody needed some help, that they don't even have any food. So next to my signs in my truck in my car right now, it's full of food. I have to deliver it to that person tonight because they need our help. If you want somebody who's going to have the passion and who's going to fight and who's not going to give up, that would be me. Vote for me, Kelly Davis, Commissioner Seat 3. I am your next commissioner.
Thank you. And now we have for Commission Seat 2, candidate Dunn.
Yeah, that's a good question. I've never met my opponent. Has anybody else seen her? So, my name is Commissioner Millissa P. Dunn, and I'd like for you to re-elect me in seat number 2 because I have kept my word. I promised to get things done in a lot of areas, and I did exactly what I promised. We have more work to do, and I'm committed to you, City of Lauderhill, to partner with you, to partner with my colleagues in order for us to move the city together forward. So, if you want to continue to see progress on lowering taxes, if you want to see progress on us getting the resources we need to improve the quality of life of Lauderhill, to grow our economy for a safer, healthier, more prosperous Lauderhill, vote Dunn in seat 2. Let's get it done together. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So for Commission Seat 1, we have 2 candidates here tonight, and we'll start with candidate Roach.
I want to make sure I have my notes to let you know that Tracy Roach, the Chief of Staff of Broward County Commissioner McKenzie, does a lot and is instrumental in District 8. So we talked about being on boards where I oversee the board selection to make sure that I choose the right candidates to share the same vision and the reflection of our city. We also talked about the affordable housing, where I was instrumental in helping our commissioner with crafting the largest affordable housing lot box for the next 50 years to ensure money is put away for our affordable housing. I am currently working on legislation with the county commissioner to stop and alleviate predator lending through the PACE program to help our residents. And as all of you may know, that YMCA that you may attend or you may be members of, I was an instrumental part of that in making sure that we had that. The only thing that separates me, this candidate, Tracy Roach, from the commissioner is sitting on the dais and setting policy. Vote for Tracy Roach.
Thank you. Candidate Haynes.
Good evening, everyone. Once again, Kelvin Haynes. I do serve on a lot of boards here in the city. I have worked tirelessly to ensure that our city remains a great city to live, work, and play in. So please, don't take anything that I say to heart, anyone. But I just want you to understand something. Ladies and gentlemen, when you go to vote, and I know you will, I just want you to remember one thing. A single determined person can make a significant difference, but a group of determined people can change the course of history. So tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I ask all of you, let's change the course of history for Lauderhill. Let's put the right person in seat number 1 who will get the job done, and that's Kelvin Haynes. Please visit me on my website, votekelvinhaynes.com, if you need more information. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to us this evening.
Thank you. And now one of 2 candidates for mayor, candidate Martin.
Can I get an extra 30 seconds? Let me start out by saying this. Jabo shows up, period. It's like mic drop at that point. Like I said, when I tell you my opponent has missed over 20% of the commission meetings in 2024, from January to now, 20% of the commission meetings that you charge us to go to work. And I'm not taking this election lightly. I need everybody to leave here, post social media, who's not here, let people know we need to get the word out. Because they're spending a lot of money trying to buy this election. Let's be real honest. The work is getting done. I left meetings today. I'm still doing city work. I'm not just campaigning on top of that. And I ask you again, take one of these cards. If everybody on this card who represents the leadership of Lauderhill over the last 25 years says, I'm the guy to do it, all the unions, I must be the guy to do it. And I'm present. I'm not absent. I'm not missing. I don't dodge questions. I don't dodge responsibilities. Jabo for mayor 2024.
Okay, thank you. So thank you to the candidates and also to the students from the Lauderhill Youth Council for having an informative forum. And thank you to the audience for your attentiveness. Now you can applaud. So thank you very much. Again, early voting starts on Monday, October 21st, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.